Hello there, my name is Martin Henley. This is the Effective Marketing Content Extravaganza. And if you've spent a second here, you'll know that I'm on a mission to give you everything you need to be successful in your business, providing that is what you need to be successful in your business is support with your sales and marketing. So not only am I here giving you everything I know about sales and marketing, not only am I pulling in anyone I can find who will talk to us about sales and marketing on the Talk Marketing series, not only are we looking at the very best and the very worst of marketing content on the internet, every other Wednesday, the concierge of co-creation, Melanie Farmer, comes along and talks to us about the news, and we speculate wildly about what that marketing news might mean for us in our business. I'm feeling ever so slightly stronger, Melanie Farmer. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I am. I'm feeling pumped. I'm ready to go.
Excellent. Good. Okay, that's really good. You get to have a little boast. Do you want to have a little boast? You've been boasting to me already, but do you want to share your little boast with the
Oh,
world? What's
yeah.
going on at
Well,
Crazy Might Work?
we're just sorting out the back office, everyone. So our social media infrastructure is looking a lot more organised than it was 2 weeks ago. So yeah, renaming things, sorting out logos, sorting out membership, and so on. But we're about to launch our new podcast, which is the big news, and that's why we wanted to get all our social channels right. So I think our podcast launches on the 2nd of September, very soon, a week away, really.
Wow. How you guys are doing this in kind of, given that you are like the masters of innovation, you're doing this in a very controlled, conservative kind of a way. How much podcast is there coming? How much have you shot already?
We have got 10
10.
episodes. Yep. And so we're just releasing them one at a time, and it probably once a fortnight is that's what we've decided, although there's a now discussion happening about monthly, but I think fortnightly is what we're going to do.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. Um, Good. Well done. Have I got a boast? No.
Well,
I've
you've
mainly
done.
slept since we last spoke, is what I've mainly done. So that was two
Look,
weeks ago.
I reckon you've got a happy client though, because you
Yeah.
had a big project you were doing for a month long or something.
Yes, that was 3 weeks. Oh yeah, they're very happy. I scored 98 out of 100. There we
Oh
go.
my gosh, come on. How
98
can you
out of
not boast
100.
about that?
And then yeah, there were two groups. So the first group they scored me 98 out of 100. So yeah, that's pretty good. They liked it. It was all online type stuff, which is kind of interesting, challenging, keeping people engaged and stuff. It's hard work, it really is hard work. But I would say enormously successful. It was a thing with STC, who are the telecoms provider, the telecoms provider in Saudi Arabia, and it was a summer camp, and it was stuff that they do for um, children of employees. It's like a proper CSR thing, which is really cool. And they were undergraduates, so they're sharp, they were interested, and in the end, they were very excited about digital marketing. So yeah, you're right. There's my boast. There's my
That's
boast.
awesome.
And then since that stopped, I've mainly slept. So maybe the two are connected. I'm not sure. Am I going the right way? I feel like I'm going the wrong way. Okay, good. So there I am in the middle. Good. So there you go. You teased a boast out of me, which is really good. And yeah, I'm going to buy myself a macro photography lens and take pictures of insects. That's my reward to myself. So stand by for that. We should, if people want to be in touch with you, and they want to be in your database and they want to be experiencing your podcast, we should make a link available to them. So maybe if you can make that link available to me, I'll put it in the description below. That's what they do with links.
Yeah, well, we've got a newsletter coming out, so I can put the link to that. And our podcast is launching on the 2nd, so I can put a link to that. Uh,
Fantastic. And you've got some exciting people on your podcast all about innovation and stuff.
yeah, the former director of astrophysics from NASA. So he's the guy who developed their leadership program, responding to the disasters, series of disasters that NASA had. And he discovered really that the toxic culture was leading to these disasters more than actually technical skill being a
Wow.
problem. And so these the program he developed, which has now been running, I think it's been running just over 10 years, has contributed to the transformation of culture. And he's known for that effort. But he's received like presidential awards and so on. And then we've interviewed a neuroscientist who's the most highly cited academic in the field of neuroscience in the world. He is attributed to mapping the human brain. That guy's super interesting. And then we've interviewed she's the director of innovation at a law firm, one of the biggest leading law firms in the world, but she herself keeps winning innovation awards. So, it's unlikely for anyone to do that in the space of law.
Okay.
And yet there she is, just trailblazer. So just quite different, but very interesting folk. So we're excited.
Excellent. Super cool. Good. I'm really excited about your podcast. I really think it's going to be cool. I feel like I could see more than one episode. What are you saying? Fortnightly? Monthly?
It's going to be fortnightly. Yeah.
Fortnightly. I think I could digest one a week. I think I could. And I think if you're 10 weeks ahead already, then that's absolutely fine. I think you should move the needle, turn the dial, put the pressure on a little bit.
Well, we have a team day tomorrow. Let's see. But I don't want to tempt my director because here we're going, yes, let's make it daily instead. That's what he'll do.
No, not daily. Weekly would be absolutely fine. I mean, the thing is, mine is going up twice weekly. We lost last week, actually. We lost last week completely. But, yeah, it's cool. I'm really excited to see that. Okay, good. So there's a boast. There's a little pitch for your podcast, which sounds wonderful. We're here to talk about the marketing news. So what has caught your attention in the way of marketing news in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, a couple of things. One, just watching TikTok starting to get a bit more, assertive, not aggressive, but assertive in their packages around monetizing TikTok for users. And it's nice to see that they're, I think, maintaining the share the wealth attitude, but certainly, yeah, so they've introduced new ad formats within TikTok. And then the second thing was looking at Botometer, if I'm saying that right, and how Elon Musk has arrived at the valuation of Twitter amongst all of that kind of fake accounts controversy.
Excellent. Okay, super cool. So there is a little bit of crossover. What I've got is we are expecting very shortly a site-wide algorithm update, the helpful content update from Google around search engine optimization, which is the biggest update in a decade, apparently. So I think that's probably big news. Interesting. Obviously, I've got a view on that. My second story was Musk now targeting the AdTech firms. So there's some crossover there between what you're saying. Yours sounds a little bit more scientific than mine. I'm interested in mine because it goes directly to the fraud, which I think might be these platforms. So literally ads is where the money happens. You know, what's going on there. And then I think just for fun, Zuckerberg is now launching the Metaverse into Spain and France. And I think we should all be impressed, inspired at the leadership that they're showing and the way that they have launched this. You know, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I think we should look at that. It's going to take us about, I think, 90 seconds to really appreciate the depth of what they are offering to the world through their Metaverse offering. Okay, good. So,
and my little fun one is just how Elon Musk tweeted, "I'm buying Man United" the other day.
Yes.
I just thought, what are you doing? Like, obviously not. It was a joke, but
Yeah.
Stop.
So I think that's interesting. I think that's really interesting because I'm a Manchester United fan. This is the worst time in my life for being a Manchester United fan. They've never in the time that, I'm not much of a fan. I'm more interested in the soap opera than I am the actual football these days, is the truth. So yeah, what struck me is how Manchester United now has been valued at £5 billion, I suppose. What is that, $6 or $7 million? Twitter is worth $44 billion, and it just seems to me that Manchester United actually has relationship, like supposedly the largest fan base in the world. It has assets in terms of a stadium. It has
It's
assets in
a
terms of
heritage brand. That
yeah,
brand
yeah,
is
huge, huge, huge. So
yeah.
how could Twitter be worth 10 times as much as Manchester United? That was my question, and that's the way I think about things. So that's probably the way this conversation is going to go a little bit today.
All right, good.
Can
Let's
I
get in.
suggest that the biggest news is probably the Google thing?
Let's do that. That's good. I agree.
Okay, and then I think second, we should go with the Twitter thing, Musk and Twitter. My perspective, your perspective. Then we should talk about Twitter, Netflix, and Starbucks. I subscribed again to Netflix because I wanted to see Better Call Saul, and that happened a month ago, and my account has been hacked by some Arabic speaker again already.
Wow.
So, I mean, Netflix are, to use that cute South Africanism, which I really like. I'm talking to Paul tomorrow, aren't I? Because there's going to be so many South Africanisms. They are seeing their arse, and they can't even be bothered to protect people's accounts. If you want an exercise in how not to look after your customers while your business is going down the Swanee, I think Netflix are providing us with that right now. But let's start with the Google thing. Shall we start with the Google thing?
Let's do it.
Okay, super cool. So here is that's a thingy. Okay, so Google helpful content algorithm update launching soon. Google is rolling out a site-wide algorithm update called the Helpful Content Update, which devalues content written for search engines. So what they're saying is it's launching a new algorithm update next week. Unlike the recent product review update, this is site-wide, so it's global, will impact all pages. Introduces a new signal Google will use to rank web pages. Although Google is giving a heads up regarding these algorithm changes, a week isn't a long time to prepare, but they would argue, like they always do, they implement the rules retrospectively. You should have always been behaving yourself even before you knew what the deal was. What does the helpful content update do? This update introduces a new ranking signal that will negatively impact sites that publish high amounts of content with a little value, or are low added value, or unhelpful to searchers. Any content, not just unhelpful content, on sites determined to have relatively high amounts of unhelpful content overall is less likely to perform well in search, assuming there is other content elsewhere from the web that's better to display. What should I do if the helpful content update impacts me? Well, what are you going to do? You're going to phone up Google, tell them, look, you've just de-ranked all my pages. The update is not a manual action. The process is automated using a machine learning model. People first content can still rank even if it's published on sites with large amounts of unhelpful content. The signal is weighted, blah, 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 blah. So what they're saying, again, this is kind of what they say all the time, is that your content needs to include data, it needs to include references, it needs to include all of these things. I'm engaged with the search engines, and it's really, really annoying. I'm engaged because my one client that I provide monthly services to, who's been with me since 2008, we're doing search engine optimization for him. So I'm engaged like that. I'm engaged because I teach people search engine optimization. I'm engaged because I am on this content mission. So I want this content to rank in the YouTube search engine, and I am also putting it on my web pages. So I'm hoping that it will rank on the Google search engine as well as the other search engines. Obviously, Google and YouTube are sitting on 95% of all searches. So that's what's going on. I've got a lot to say about this, but I'm interested to hear what you think first.
I just think it's not lost on me that they're saying people first, not robots, and we'll decide by having a robot tell us.
Good. That was one point that I wanted to make. Yeah. So robots are good for us, not good for you.
Yes, yeah. And
Yes.
then the second thing is, my understanding of Google is that they always change their algorithms. So this is sounding like a massive change if they're claiming that they haven't changed their algorithms for 10 years, which isn't true. They change it all the time. So this sounds like a sweeping change. I also think they've created this monster themselves because as people start to, let's say, game the system or understand, what you need to do to get ranked highly, of course you're going to write in such a way to kind of game the system, um, and so whatever they do now that makes it people first, organizations like yourself and others will just respond to that to say, right, well, we're going to do the same behavior because we want to be ranked highly. And I guess they could claim that they're driving quality by doing it this way, but in the end, I I wonder the effect is the effect just going to be that people again, um, just find a new way to game it, and is that going to benefit us all? I don't know. But I look at our own site with leadership and innovation being our two main search terms. It makes me like feel I need an expert now to read everything we write that has the word leadership and innovation in it to make sure we're not, uh, just filling a page with those words and being classified as unhelpful. There you go. They're all my thoughts.
By a robot.
Yes, a robot has decided that I'm unhelpful.
Yeah. This frazzles my mind. Does it frazzle my mind? This has gone on for as long as the search engines have existed. You're right that they are constantly updating the algorithm. There are reportedly 300 algorithm updates a day, so it's happening almost daily. There are big ones. So there was one Mobilegeddon, there was Penguin, there was Hummingbird, there are probably five or six which are internet defining algorithm updates. You upset me recently, but you didn't know you did.
Oh, what did I do?
Very calm. Well, I was advising you on what was I advising you? I was advising you on the frequent or the length of your podcast. We were talking about the length of your podcast, and I was saying quite simply, what I do is I get people for an hour and 20 minutes, and I get everything. And then in the future, what I will do is I'll cut out the really juicy bits, and then I'll have lots and lots of content forever. And you said, oh, we read somewhere that we were advised by somewhere, and they said that 20 minutes is like the optimum, and that's fine. I mean, you didn't really upset me. The thing about that, like reading content on any website, is I don't know if you're aware, but there are now a whole raft of content producing. I hate that, but that's what I'm going to do because I don't really believe in it.
And kind of
AI content generating tools. The most famous one I think is called Jasper, where you literally put in a sentence and it will give you 300-400 words. So if you use it well, then you put in 7 or 8 sentences and you end up with 2,000 words maybe.
fake
If you
content.
don't, what's that?
Fake content.
AI generated content, like
All right.
literally machine generated, and these things have crawled the internet. They know everything about this particular subject. It's very tempting because literally you put in a sentence and it will give you a paragraph. So if you can come up with 7 or 8 questions, then you can produce what looks like pretty good looking content, sounding content. So the thing that upset me about that is you don't know when you take this advice from this website if it was written by a bot. You don't know if it was written by a junior or even by an intern. You don't know if it was written by the CEO of, I don't know, Capgemini. Do you know what I mean? We just don't know. So what's the point in this? The point in this is this has been the game since the search engines came on the, like when I was working for Gem 20 years ago, this was the gig. Is like, how do you get to the top of the search engines? And people always want to game the search engines because people always want to be there. So this has been the game. Like, do you write for the search engines or do you write for people who actually land on the page? And the answer, of course, is you walk that line. And everyone has walked that line. Like with all the algorithm updates, it's the lines moved and people, like you say, have responded. But people are always looking to game the system, so that's fine. What hasn't helped ever is these algorithm updates. Because the idea that some geek in Cupertino, or not Cupertino, that's Apple, isn't it? Or wherever they are, these geeks, all over the world now because they're remote, knows better than we do what it is that we want to search for or what we want to read. And that we all have in every search a necessity for the most academic result that is referenced, that includes quotes and statistics and all these things, just seems to me to be a nonsense. It doesn't resolve the issue. The real issue for me is that there is this morality, like they talk about white hat SEO and black hat SEO. I don't know if you're familiar with these ideas, but Jem's business was completely by accident called White Hat Media. So there is this morality that goes on, but Google are like the most pernicious judge. They will smite you if you break the rules. And even if you were breaking the rules before they were the rules, they will smite you retrospectively. Like, for example, Penguin, I think it was about backlinks. So in Jem's day, people would phone up and say, I want to be top for mobile phones. And they'll say, well, mobile phones, okay, the person who's top has 15 million links to their site. You need 20 million links. That's going to cost you X amount of money. And then you would do it and they would get to the top of the search engine. What's the point about this? Oh, so there's morality, like we're supposed to behave in a moral way, even though they're moving the guidelines all of the time. So we are supposed to be entirely moral. Like there is no recourse. You can't phone up Google and say, look, my content's just been dumped. What's going on? You can't. You can phone them up and say, my ads aren't working. And they'll say, spend more money on ads. What's the point about this? Is that there is nothing helpful about any of these updates. And actually what I think, because I engage with the search engine, is what a poor service it has become. Like I had to do an academic thing a couple of years ago, so I'm looking for a very particular kind of research. You can't find it on Google. And I thought stupidly, because I do this for a living, is if I get into page 2 or page 3, I'll get into like the more academic, research-driven, all this sort of stuff. Anything on page 2, I don't know if you've been there recently, is nowhere near relevant to the search that you're putting in. And so it seems to me, here's the big issue. Google have a vested interest in there not being any natural listing whatsoever. And the natural listing has gone further and further down the page. So at the top, you'll have 4 ads. Then you'll have the local results, the Google My Business results. Then you'll have some snippets. So you don't even need to go to people's websites anymore to get the information. And so the natural result might be in 15th or 16th position on the page. People really aren't going there. Google don't want people going there. They want people paying to be at the top of Google. And then that opens up a whole can of worms, because I'm doing a little bit of advertising now for this channel. And it's interesting how I set a daily budget and they've just completely taken 3 or 4 times as much money as my daily budget that I set. Do you know what I mean? So Google aren't doing a very good job. There are issues. There is all of this bot-produced content. It is an issue. The idea that they can judge what's helpful content and not, when they've got previous of fixing the results around their political persuasions, etc., I don't think algorithms are good for these businesses. I don't think it's good for Facebook. I don't think it's good for Google. I don't think it's good for any of them. Like what people want, I think, is the natural, this is what they call the natural result. The most interesting, most useful, most cited, most used, website. And yeah, I hate this. I hate it. So that's all of the stuff that I've got to say about it.
Well, before Google was that you'd go on Yahoo or whatever option you had, and you'd type in something and you'd be given, you search for bananas and get cats. Like it was so unhelpful and useless and nothing at all to do with. So I think there's a, when Google showed up with algorithms that, that are Google bananas and I get bananas, that was like a game changer globally. Suddenly the internet became useful, but it's like the essence of that was great, and now they're dealing with humans who are going to try to insert bananas in hidden text and all the other things that everyone started to do. So they're trying to kind of constantly be ahead of what humans are doing, but it's just, I think it's just a part of life probably. But I don't like the idea that a robot's deciding how valuable my content is, because that's going to then present, when I search as a user, I'm going to be presented with what a robot thinks I want to look at, and so then I'll click on those things, and just that act of clicking means that everybody thinks that's one more user who clicked on that. So that page is obviously useful to me. So the irony of it is that it's sort of this symbiotic relationship between this robot's decision and human behavior clicking on the thing. And it might not be useful at all to me. I might just go down an internet rabbit hole, but really where's the bananas I was looking for? And I
Yes.
never, so it kind of, it stops me finding what I really want to find, is what I think. But on the other
Yes.
hand, I like it better than day one, where what Yahoo had originally, which was just you type house, you don't get house, and so at least that's happening. But I think it's interesting what you said, that page 2 onwards is gobbledygook now. So that's worrying, because I'm like, what kind of algorithm have they got running if that's true? It shouldn't be true. There should be
Well,
10 yeah, sorry.
well, they're reporting millions of hundreds of millions of results. They're saying, look, we did this amazing search for you and we came up with 100 million results. Just have a look one day when you've got time on your hands. Like, and even this idea of search is a misnomer, because it's not search. We don't search. We put in a key phrase, it gives us a result, and we accept that result. Like the percentage of people who even click on the second result is minuscule compared to like 60, 70% traffic for the number one result, maybe 10 or 15% for the second result, maybe 5 or 6 for the third result, nothing from there on. So what do I think about this? Is I think that Google is basically gets to decide who is successful and who isn't. Like, I'm on a mission to produce this content. Like, I don't know why you do this for me, but I rope you in every 2 weeks. I've got people giving me like an hour and a half on my talk marketing. I am on a mission to provide really helpful content, like really helpful. And I think it goes to the core of my mission, which is the hundreds of millions of small businesses on the planet and the millions that fail every year because they don't get this bit, like the
Yeah.
marketing bit, they don't get it. And they don't get it in part because the monoliths in the industry, Google, Twitter, we're coming to, they are basically defrauding, I think, people. That's what's going on. So maybe it's not useful for me to be saying this, but it's true. Like the ads that I'm running, and I only know because here's what goes on, is I'm running ads. I've run them for the last 3 days on 2 of my most popular videos just to see what difference it will make. They report lots of things like number of impressions, which is what I'm most interested in. How many people are actually searching for these things? But these campaigns are nailed on. There's like 3 phrases for each of them. So I want to know, how popular are those search phrases? Like, how often are they getting searched for? Thousands of times a day, supposedly, is the answer. I get hundreds of clicks. I'm like, okay, I'm interested to know, what's the watch time? What measure of time do you think they use to report the watch time?
Is that like how long they're on a site
How
or a
long they are
page?
watching these 2 videos that I'm paying
Oh,
to market through Google?
5 seconds?
Not 5 seconds, but it's seconds.
Seconds. Like, yeah.
Seconds,
Which is
yeah.
not fair. Yeah.
Well, it's not representative of, like, the only thing that gets measured in seconds is the 100 meters. like
Yeah.
in the world, it's the 100 meters. Because if you look at YouTube, they are measuring the watch time and they're measuring it in hours and minutes because that's the way we live our lives. Like so now I've had tens of thousands of units of measure, and I'm like, okay, well, that's good. That's worth paying for. And then I look more closely, and it's like, oh no, that's seconds. So I have to divide that by 60 to get the minutes, and oh, it's not very much at all. It might even be less than the 3 seconds that I'm not supposed to pay for. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so hundreds of people, thousands of people a day are searching for this very particular phrase. What is pricing strategy? My very particular helpful video, what is not pricing strategy, is exactly what they're looking for. And I'm supposed to believe that they are bouncing off in less than 3 seconds. Why? Why? And why would I pay Google for that? But if I don't, how on earth am I ever going to get my really, I think, helpful content in front of people? Because so even when you pay, it's not useful. That's my
Yeah.
charge against Google. This is my charge. So you don't get
Wow.
anywhere near it because it's all gunked up with junk if you do search engine optimization. And I would argue it's going to get worse with this update. And then if you pay, you don't get anything like value. I mean, if I hadn't been doing this for, I don't know, nearly 20 years, I might be really excited that I've now had 850 views on each of these videos in the last 2-3 days, which is something like 50% of the people who are searching for these things. But I, who do this for a living, have to really dig in to see that actually there's no value there. There might have been 750 people watched it, but they didn't watch it for more than 3 seconds.
Like, I feel like you as the one who's paying for these ads ought to be able to control the reports and
Well,
say,
you
I'm
can.
only interested in X and Y, like I want to have it. Because, yeah, so can you say, I only want to see if they've watched 30 seconds or more? Only tell me that.
You can. This is how they get you. Is you can. There are 150 options. You can design 100% this entire report, but then you get into the option blindness thing, where it's too complicated to do it. Do you know what I mean? So I spent an hour redesigning my reports just to realize that these people, like, what I'd want to say and what the issue is supposed to be is you don't pay unless if they skip the ad. Well, it looks to me like skip the ad is, what is it, 5 seconds? If I'm getting less than 5 seconds on views, I shouldn't be paying for any of these. I'd be happy with that. But they're charging me for each of these. Oh my God. I
Yeah,
want to do,
under 5 seconds. That's not watched.
no, I want to do like a proper scientific, this is the
Experiment.
deal. Do you know what I mean? I wish I was that Veritasium guy. Do you know that guy? Because I'd like to be as scientific as that so I can just go, this is the deal.
Oh, maybe you got to
But,
interview them.
sorry?
Maybe you need to interview them on your podcast.
That would be great to do that. He did a brilliant Facebook fraud thing. It was already like 8 years ago, which was talking about the same thing, which is you don't get anywhere near if you don't pay, and you don't get anything like value if you do pay. And so we're reading now, I don't know if you're seeing it, but Facebook are now deciding by algorithm who gets sacked. So they're actually sacking people now as part of, so this is the issue for our industry, I think, and it's serious, is you don't get value unless you pay, and you don't get value if you pay. And these businesses are now complaining about, the economic downturn, et cetera, because they've been fleecing businesses for the last 15 years, literally fleecing businesses for the last 15 years, not delivering value. And it's only when these economic downturns come along that businesses actually look at the value they're getting and they're like, okay, we're not. And so they're turning off the tap. That is the only way to explain what's going on. And their answer, is, okay, let's put more algorithms in. Like the answer is cannot be more control over what people get to see. It can't be like, actually the answer has to be more relevant, more useful, more understanding, less algorithm. You know what? Let people actually invest in getting their content seen in the way that they could 10, 15 years ago. But
Well, that would serve me as a user as well, because I figure if you're trying to tell me about a pricing strategy and that's what I'm looking for, then we need each other. So I don't really want Google making decisions on my behalf. I would rather that you were making an effort and that effort was rewarded by me finding you, and also that uh, I'm grateful, I benefit from your effort. Like that's the
Yes,
bottom line. That I should be finding you. I shouldn't have Google saying, oh, there's this dog video you should watch instead, at the worst end of things. I like our Warren Buffett's quote, it's only when the tide goes out that you find out who's been swimming naked. And
yes,
the idea behind that is when you're talking about people getting sacked by algorithm or whatever, it tells you like what kind of strategy is that? I don't know, but it doesn't sound healthy to me.
it's
It
not
sounds
healthy. And the thing is, I could suck it up if when I paid, I got value. I could suck it up if that was the option. But the situation is basically the algorithms that or these corporations are sitting between you and the market, and they're basically saying you don't get to be successful unless you give us some money. And if that was working effectively, I'd be 100% happy because like it will have taken me 15 years to get there because I remember when it was great when you could just invest your time, your energy, all of this
yeah.
stuff and achieve success, So it might have taken me 15 years to get there, but I could accept that. But the truth is, whenever I've invested my money, my clients' money, anyone's money in these platforms, I haven't got the value to justify it. Certainly in the last 10 years.
Mm.
That's the situation. And now they're
Well,
all crying because now they're suffering these economic downturns. And the truth is, they don't deserve to be in business because they're not delivering value for their customers. Because now people need customers more than ever, and people need suppliers more than ever. So this was like the tone of the barnstorming talk I did in 2008 in the last thing is now we're going to experience real need and real value and everything's going to get real. So we need to get to it. And the truth is these businesses could be offering real value. And the truth is that they're not interested in that. They're just interested in pulling billions of dollars out of markets,
it seems
businesses.
like a good segue to Twitter because of
Yes.
the idea of these fake accounts and all the stuff that's.
Well done you, because this was never going to end if you didn't put that segue in. So well done you.
It still might not end, but we'll be talking about Twitter next.
Yes, and for me, it's exactly the same thing. So when I saw this
Yeah.
story today, so let's go to this story. So
Uh-huh.
Musk targets ad tech firms in Twitter suit over takeover deal. So we've resisted the urge to talk about this too much, I think, quite well. But what it says here is what it says here. I don't know if it was on this article that I saw. But what it says is basically people use these ad server platforms. So these are platforms that kind of you use to manage your ads on these platforms to make sure that their adverts go to human beings rather than bots. And the truth about this is there's no ad tech platform that can make sure your ads go to human beings rather than bots. And even if there were, why should that be necessary? Because if you are a responsible business and people are paying you to do something, you should do that thing rather than profit from the fact that there are all these clearly millions of bots. Um,
Well, yeah, I think this. So the story I found, which is the same thing really, is that Elon Musk used Botometer, and Botometer um, estimated that a third of visible accounts on the social media platform are fake, despite Twitter's claim that fewer than 5%. And then, but what I thought was interesting is the Botometer's creator, Kai-Cheng Yang, has told the BBC that 33% figure doesn't mean anything because the creator of Botometer questions the methodology employed to use the tool. And he said that the legal team had not approached him about using Botometer. So I think this sounds like that Kai-Cheng Yang, who's the creator of this tool, is defending Twitter to a degree, because what this tool does is it examines when and how often a person tweets or an account tweets, and then gives them a score from 0 to 5, saying this account is likely to be human or likely to be spam at a 5. And so it's not definitive, and so he's really challenging that. That they have perhaps not the methods they've used to determine that 33% he's saying are questionable. So I think that's kind of interesting, because this guy from Botometers suddenly getting into the discussion, and
Right.
I'm not sure exactly what's happened there that he's suddenly speaking out. So interesting.
Interesting. And I think I said 50%. Do you remember? I said 50%. When they came out and said 5, and I think Elon Musk was saying probably like 20%, I thought, not that I'm even a huge user of Twitter, but my instinct was probably 50%. Now, does it matter? Like, he's saying it's not meaningful, they haven't done it properly, whatever. He's just got another bot. You know what I mean? It's like,
Not 5% though. It's if even if they sort of, but I think it is. He's really defending the fact that what he's saying is these people have used a tool without being trained in it, which I guess is what I'm hearing, that they haven't consulted him. It's not. He doesn't believe that it's sane, and that they've not used it properly.
yeah. Here's what I think. I think if 5% of my business were fraudulent, I'd be in prison. That's what I think. And this is what this comes down to for me, is it's us versus these corporations. And these corporations, so 5% of this is fraud. They're admitting it's fraud. So it's like, is it Winston Churchill? What was that Winston Churchill quote? Where he said to a woman, I don't know if it was Winston Churchill, I don't know, or it might have been I don't know. The quote is something like, would you, to a woman, he says, would you sleep with me for £100? And she says, maybe for £100. And then he says, well, would you sleep for me for £50? And she says, are you calling me a prostitute? And he says, we've already established that you're a prostitute. Now we're just negotiating the price. And it's the same thing here. Like, we've already established that there's fraud. You've already admitted to fraud. 5% is fraud. Now we're just
Yeah,
talking about the extent of the fraud.
yeah, that's a really good. That's a good way of putting it.
Isn't it? So there should be
And yes,
outcry.
unless they said we were priced accordingly, like we understand that,
When did they
whatever.
say that? When did they say that we understand that 5%, and so we are reimbursing 5% to everyone who's advertised with us, because we do not expect to profit from fraud?
Right.
They've not said that. They've said, oh,
No.
it's 5%. And we're all like, so this is interesting, because this comes back to my
Like, we're
third
not
story.
okay with that.
Exactly. How much of this bullshit are we prepared to buy?
Now, if it's 33% by this Botometer says it is, then that's like, you'd be shut down. If you think of a
You
small
would,
business.
if 5% of your business was fraud, if
And
8% of your business was fraud, like if a policeman were to come into your business and identify any fraud in your business, then you would face charges and you would likely go to prison. So 5% of, what are they saying, 44 billion.
yeah,
So, or it's 4.5 billion or 5 billion of actual ad spend, which still astounds me. So they're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars of fraud. And nobody is saying, but that's fraud. So all Elon Musk needs to do, really, I would imagine, is go into the court and say, there's fraud going on in this business. I'm not going to pay 44 billion for a company, and this company can't tell me exactly how much fraud, but I'm not going to pay a cent for a business that is engaged in fraudulent activity, which is what this is. Because if
Yeah.
they're serving up ads and these ads are being served to bots and they know, it's fraud. It's a little bit like my ads. Who are my ads being served up to? If they're clicking off this thing within seconds, when it is exactly the thing that they are looking for. Now, I'm not saying it's genius content. I'm not saying but that's the intent, is to be really helpful. So what YouTube's telling me is, if people search for exactly the thing that you are offering, because it's literally these exact terms in these exact phrases, and they're clicking off within 5 seconds, it doesn't feel to me like human behavior, you know? So it is a continuation of the same thing. 5% of this business is fraud. They've admitted 5% is fraud. What does Elon Musk have to do? What are the court going to say? No, you have to pay $44 billion for this fraudulent business.
I would not like to be working at Twitter. That's all I can say. But I think it kind of leads into the next story we had as well about TikTok moving into advertising, except that TikTok seems so far to be much more interested in sharing the wealth than other
Yes.
platforms. Because if I put a TikTok post up, a video, let's say, I can now add banners and so forth that people can go and buy whatever it is that I'm TikToking about, and then I get paid and stuff. But I mean, I would have to pay for that ad, and there would be the question of, but am
Can I just stop you for a second before we go on this finally?
I, yeah,
This is Botometer.
right? Oh, good. Okay. Oh, interesting.
So
With Twitter,
this is the tool. This is the tool that they are using to dispute a
yes.
$44 billion acquisition. This tool looks like it was put together in about 20 minutes, and literally, okay, so do they think I am a bot? I haven't been trained, so obviously the result of this is, and no wonder the guy is speaking up, because this is his 15 minutes of fame. Check user. Oh, I have to authorize the app. Effective marketing. So there's a picture of me. I know I'm
Right.
not a bat. 1.8 out of 5. What does that mean?
That's not good. Five. Oh, hang on. No, that is good because five is you are a fake account at the
Right.
highest level, and zero is you've got no chance of being fake.
Right.
Zero, you are human, and five, you are spam.
Right. So I am in the top 40% of. The thing is, I've got insight into this particular account. It's me.
You want to put me in there and see what it says about me because
Do we want to do that? Oh
I
no, I've lost
well,
it.
I don't
Botometer.
read that often,
What is
but
yours?
yeah,
At
at Melanie Farmer
Melanie Farmer.
is going to go totally fake. No idea who that is. Let's see if it gets me. There I am. Oh, look
zero
at
point
me.
0.5.
I'm more human than you.
Yeah.
Whatever that is supposed to mean. So if I'm zero point 0.5 and you're 1.8, is it talking about how often this, that, the other? That's the
Well, it's
things.
echo chamber. So what's that? How much
Oh, I'm
response you
changing
get?
before.
Fake followers, 1.8.
I've got fake followers,
There's no
okay?
financial for you. Mine was zero point 0.2.
Crikey, look at that.
But
There's not
this
many tweets.
clearly is not a tool that should be used
I mean, it's
to
accurate
decide a
in the sense that
$44 billion lawsuit.
no, and that's where the creator of Botometer said it's flawed.
They haven't been
He,
trained. Well, I'm
he's
using it. I'm quite happy that I'm using it correctly. What's the training required? I put in a Twitter tag. How do I need to be trained?
I think probably you need to be trained in the analysis of that. So perhaps that's what he's on about. That these people have just like plugged in something, and but they're not going user by user. They're doing some bulk assessment of Twitter
No,
to say
because the sample, when they were talking about this 2 months ago, was 100. They put in 100.
they
So
sampled 100, and now
they
they're
sampled
deciding.
100 and decided that it was, yeah. But 100 random is a reasonable sample.
Yeah, that's
I
what
mean,
the
this is
count.
the tool. Let's not be silly. This is the tool. It might not be the tool. It might be spelled differently. I don't know. But
Yeah, no, that's correct. That's how it's spelled, and the fact of where you found it with Twitter logos on it, that would suggest it's the right one.
mm, that's not the Twitter logo.
How many? No, but I mean close enough, right? And it's saying botometer thing that looks very. Um,
Cheap
that looks
to me. It looks like something that a teenager might put together in their bedroom. I don't know. Okay, let's move on because you've got another story, which is the TikTok. So, what you're saying about this is, what are you saying about this?
yeah. Look, they're moving into a bit more monetizing, so they're kind of getting into partnerships themselves with e-commerce firms like Shopify, and they're just rolling out ads. So I think that is kind of interesting. Um, but they're saying that where are we? Video shopping ads. So a product can reach an audience with high purchase intent, um, and catalog ads do something else. So there's three ads, and they're testing these in with advertisers in the US.
Yes.
I mean, it's not unexpected that they should do this, um, but it's interesting because they're growing up, I guess, is what's happening. They'll get more money. They're already like outperforming everybody else in this market in terms of monetizing users. So
But also, what they are doing is they are reimbursing content producers. So this
yes,
to me feels much like the way social media was supposed to be. When I teach social media now, because I teach social media, I show them a video from 2010 about how excited we all were about what social media was going to be, and compare it with the reality of what it's become. TikTok, it seems to me, is much closer to the original idea and benefit. We were excited. I was telling people for 5, 6, 7 years straight, do this thing. Like now, essentially, you get the opportunity to move that one step closer to your market where you can be a media producer in your market. You can build your own audience. This is tremendously exciting. You put all of your money into your creativity because you don't have to pay for the space anymore. And that was a lie. They made a liar of me for 7 years. So everyone I advised about that, I'm really sorry. I was advising you at the best of my knowledge and experience at the time. They changed. Like they are now almost exactly the opposite of what they were supposed to be at the beginning, which is basically they are selling fraudulent views, ads, all of these other things. And it, I'm 100% resolved. TikTok are the most morally well behaved social media available. There's,
so
there's
so
no two ways about it.
yeah, what is interesting, I'm looking at this, they've partnered with smartly.io,
Yeah.
that actually with campaign management, optimization, and reporting. That's kind of interesting. Um, and then because I'm just digging through and I'm trying to find like what if you think about how Google are allowing you to find stuff on Google, how is TikTok deciding that when you search for something on TikTok that they're going to show it to you? What's their algorithm?
I don't know. And I don't think they particularly. I mean, I honestly don't know. So Jonas tells me that TikTok is really good and useful. I did a reaction video to TikTok, like people offering marketing advice on TikTok. Um, I should do it more. I don't know the way the algorithm works at all. Like, I don't actually look at TikTok. I get caught on Instagram Reels occasionally, like too occasionally, probably too often. Um, I don't know how much people search. I don't know if you just open the app and there's just
There's just
content and you're just looking at content, looking at content, looking at content. I mean,
yeah, yeah. Imagine if you like this, you'll like that. I mean, to me, I experience it the same way as Pinterest. That it's just you can actually sort of say, "Oh, I like this sort of stuff," and it shows you it.
mm,
But
I mean, Instagram is also, to come back to that cute South Africanism, seeing its ass. Like, I've seen 5 or 6 videos by people I watch on YouTube, photographers, just saying it's over. The new one is called Wevo or Vivo or something like that.
oh,
And I've tried to sign up and it doesn't like my telephone number, so I can't. But Instagram is. And this whole thing went on, didn't it? Where Zuckerberg came out and they were challenging him on how much content is from people we've said we want to see and how much content is from people that we've expressed no interest in whatsoever. And it's up above 30% now on Instagram. And they say it's going to go more. So, what is the stupidity of these businesses where they're just flying in the face of like where they know better? You know, they are struggling on their terms, you know, like their returns, their valuations are down, incomes are down, everything's down, but they're still on this mission. We know better, we know better, we know better. And why don't they just get out of the road and let the tools do the brilliant job that they can do, the brilliant job that Facebook used to do, the brilliant job that Instagram used to do. So this is the theme of today, I think, is every time they interject with these algorithm updates or whatever these interjections are, the thing gets worse. You know,
so I'm
it's
going to check out TikTok, I think, and see. I'll be interested to see if it goes on the same journey as everyone else, because you know, it being developed by humans and so forth, and businesses being businesses, typically there is a life cycle and the same mistakes and patterns. So, you know, if there's a push to make more money, then there'll be behaviors that lead to the downfall of the business in the end. So I think it's interesting watching what they're doing with their ads and how I just want to see if that's actually producing a different option, a different direction to what other social platforms have done. Because I really got peed off with Facebook and their direction with advertising. And
yes,
so, is that going to be not that experience on TikTok? I hope it will not be like that. And have they learned from other platforms? I don't know, but they're already outperforming considerably.
yes,
So that's but without users feeling, I think, destroyed by the
yes.
platform.
And I think that as well. And I think the thing is that maybe because they are Chinese, the imperative is going to be different. It's not going to be this constant drive just for more money, more money, more money, more money. I think, I
Well, there's
don't know.
going to be
Well,
diversity of thought on the board, no matter what,
yes,
than what we've seen before.
yeah,
Um, so that's just it's very interesting to me to see how different models can emerge. And thank God we're not all like one robotic human where we all have the same beliefs on this planet, because then we would just repeat these mistakes over and over. So I hope they have different mistakes. You know, I mean we're all human, but
yeah.
I hope that they don't make the same mistakes and that they make different mistakes and we can all learn from each other. Let's hope so.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. Because what would be really useful for me as a social media user, like I'm into photography, I would love to share my photos, but it's the same gig. Like I can share my photos, they're never going to be seen. You know, I can pay, they're still not going to be seen. Do you know what I mean? It's like as a user, as a content producer, I would love to have usable social media. We're going to start putting content on TikTok, I think, and see if there is any value in that for us. Um, so, as a person walking around the planet, as a user of social media, it would be really useful to have useful social media again. As a content producer, it'd be really useful to have social media again. As a business providing marketing services, it would be really useful to have social media again. Do you know what I mean? So I miss it on every single level, but we have to accept that Facebook's not coming back, Instagram's not coming back. TikTok, arguably, there is a guy I'm trying to get hold of who's like a TikTok marketer, and he talks about the fact that everybody is on TikTok and you can market any kind of business. I'm interested to have that conversation. I miss it. I really miss it. And I think I've communicated in this. I'm really quite sick of the fraud. Like, stop taking money from people if you're not delivering value. That would be my message to anyone who's running a business, and especially these businesses who are clearly taking hundreds of millions of dollars out of small businesses' pockets fraudulently. They should stop doing that. Good. Right, there is one last little story, which is also on theme. It's this, which is Zuckerberg defends Metaverse development after online backlash. Meta's Metaverse is still largely theoretical and as such, got a long way to go, etc., etc., etc. So, to celebrate the fact, earlier in the week, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg announced that its Horizon Worlds VR creation sandbox is now open to creators in Spain and France, posting this image to go along with it. Are you ready?
I'm ready, yeah. Okay, this is Zuckerberg in France. And
Spain.
Is that supposed to be the Gaudi Cathedral in the background?
I think so, yes. Right, why has that gone bad now?
The version of it, but there you are.
Yeah, the Del Salgado Familia or something, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Doesn't really look like that. I mean,
No.
It is the
But
most spectacular building I've experienced in real life. Doesn't look like that, so I don't know what that's supposed to be. So stop doing that. What's going on?
So what is... He posted this picture, and then...
To announce the fact that it's now available to creators in Spain and France. So I'm imagining all these Spanish and French creators seeing this and being overwhelmed with inspiration to create now for Mark Zuckerberg's. So what people were saying is it's genuinely puzzling that Meta spent more than $10 billion on VR last year and the graphics in its flagship app still look worse than a 2008 Wii game. So this was the message. We're launching Horizon Worlds in France and Spain today. Looking forward to seeing people explore and build immersive worlds and to bringing this to more countries soon.
Oh, that's such a valid comment from the observer of this. This is the best you can do.
Yes. Why does the metaverse look so bad? I mean, it's just appalling. And the thing is, this is what I want to say, is that we are buying this shit. The world is buying this shit. So like this, we did this before with Tesla. When Elon Musk was the first person to pollute space by putting this Tesla car in space, like the first person, not the first government, not the first corporation, the first person to pollute space. He says something like this will be in space for 1 billion years. And they put out these graphics, and the whole world was like, oh, yeah, that's really cool. So what I want to know is how can the world be behind him and beside him? And, yeah, it's just insane. So here we are as businesses, Melanie Farmer.
Yeah.
Like you and I as businesses trying to communicate value, trying to deliver value, trying to communicate trust and all of these things. And these billionaires are putting out stuff that you could produce in PowerPoint in about a minute. What on earth is going on in the world? Like, I would not put these images of a car out under my brand. You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't put those images of the metaverse launching to Spain and France out. You wouldn't launch your business with that image, with an image of that low quality. How do these people get away with this absolute shit?
I don't know.
It blows my mind. Well, I don't know if you remember seeing these Tesla photos when he first completely unnecessarily polluted
I,
space.
I have a theory. I think they've got a bot, and what they do is the creative team come up with some image ideas, and then the machines decide which one they should publish.
Yeah, maybe, maybe.
And that's what we're left with. This is what happens when the machines take over. That's what it is.
Yes.
Because no human would make that decision. It's the only explanation.
No right-minded human would make that decision.
No, no, no. This has been decided by a robot.
Yes.
And that's because they've sacked all the humans using algorithms. So there are only robots left. And that's why this is happening.
But
That,
the
that
world is still buying it.
You've got to admit that explains a lot. If you decide, if you said, "Look at this. This has been decided," a robot has said, "Yes, yes, this is the one to go with." Because we've got a certain percentage of green and a percentage of blue, and those images are always popular. And then there's X percent of buildings and orange in it, and green and blue. There you go. So the robot has said statistically significant finding that this image will outperform XYZ image. And they could literally be testing that and saying, let's see if these robots are, because the human has said something and the robot disagrees, and let's go with what the robot says.
So was it? Did we talk about them laying off tens of thousands of people or halting their
With an
recruitment
algorithm,
of
yeah.
tens of thousands of people? How many man hours do you think went into producing this image?
I'm saying 10 minutes.
I'm saying that maybe this is the way the metaverse looks. I will never know because I will never look. This for me is the final nail in the coffin. I am not buying this shit. Anyone who wants to spend their time in an environment that looks like this isn't somebody I want to market my business to or my clients' businesses.
Well, look, my
So this is the
my
final
husband
nail
like,
for me. This is it. If you're not interested, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm
hey,
sorry, I'm not interested.
you've got to look at Cyberpunk on PlayStation 5 compared to that. Unbelievable graphics, and I'm sure you
Yes.
could find video walkthroughs of it. It's just completely different. Um, and that looks like something from the 90s, maybe at best. So yeah, I don't know, but like we're all talking about it. You've got to think that it's produced a lot of discussion, not none of it good. Maybe they're going with the whole bad publicity doesn't exist. It's just all publicity. It doesn't make me want to go in there. It does make me think that if I was planning to be a metaverse developer, that I have a very good chance of outperforming everyone else if this is the best that they can put up as an exemplar. And therefore, so that could be it. It could be that people are saying, looking at that and thinking, I can win, I can do better.
Yeah.
Is there
Words
a
my
reverse?
mind. We are buying it. So the disjunct is between what they get away with and the value that they offer and what we get away with and the value that we have to offer and the fact that these people are actually obstructing us and taking our money. This is my mission in life. This is
Yeah,
why
this
we
out.
had to have this conversation. This is why we had to have these 15 conversations so we could get to today. This is my mission in life. And we are buying it. The world is buying it. The world needs to stop buying this shit. It really does. Because, like, oh, I don't
It
know.
worries me, yes.
It worries me too.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we got to the end.
High note, there you are.
The
We're
thing
in
is,
furious agreement.
yeah, I think we will find a way, Melanie Farmer, because I think what we're doing is actually adding value to the world, through what Crazy Mike Work does, through what I'm trying to do through the channel. We're actually offering value. So hopefully we will find a way
Yeah.
because,
Well, we keep putting a spotlight on this stuff. And don't forget, I think it's a balance because we're putting spotlights on what we think is excellent as well. So
yes,
it's I like that balance. That
good.
makes it cool.
Yeah, 100%. And I think occasionally we see stuff that's really good, and I'm happy to say that's really good. Like more than happy to say, because I don't want to be showing people, look, this is how these businesses are going to rip you off all the time. Like this is how you get to be successful. So I also think we've got a good balance. I did a critique of I did a reaction to Gary Vaynerchuk. Did I tell you about this?
No.
Oh my god! And it got a comment, and we want comments. But basically, this guy was saying, "Look, you're a nobody," criticizing this guy who's got 160 million, like in the bank. This is just hate that you're spewing, etc., etc., etc. This is where we've got to as a society, where it doesn't matter.
They will not do it.
It doesn't matter what the actual value of what you do is. I'm seeing if I can see it now. I'm probably not going to easily. The means justify. No, the ends justify the means entirely. So if you are Gary Vaynerchuk, if you have probably the largest platform of people who are looking to grow their business in the world, and you've put $160 million in your own bank account, then you are beyond reproach. And if you're not that, then you don't get to criticize it at all. This is the weird, people want to buy this shit. And I've known for the longest time, for 20 years, like there is an easier way for me to extract money from my market than me standing up and telling them, this is the actual work involved. This is the likelihood of what you're likely to achieve. Do you know what I mean? Instead of laying it out and making it very simple for people, I would be much more successful if I were Gary Vaynerchuk and I would just lay bullshit on people all day, every day, because they want to be bullshitted.
Mm. Oh my gosh, we have a journey. But on that note, I have to get to another meeting.
Okay, cool. You're an absolute legend. Thank you for being here today and counselling me through this. I feel like I really needed that. So yeah. I'm going to put another date in your diary for 2 weeks today, if that's cool. And maybe our paths will cross in between then as well. You're an absolute legend. Thank you for being here, Melanie Farmer.
Thanks, Martin.
Okay, catch you soon.